Hi, good morning. Yeah,
早安。
thank you so much for having us back. We've just returned from Jordan, and I'll be sharing a little bit about that.
很高兴，大家邀请我跟大家今天分享今天将来会分享一点点关于我们在约旦的事工。
But first, but first, I'd like to thank you and give you an update about Ukraine and the ministry there.
不过首先我想说一下关于乌克兰和那边事工的信息。
You've all given very generously towards the medical needs there, and there's a new person coordinating it. And I can tell you that just last week, 12 crates of medical supplies went to Ukraine.
对于乌克兰那边的医疗设备的需求，你们还捐了不少。然后我想报告一下，最近有12个大箱的这个医疗设备也到了乌克兰。
And almost weekly, they're having more being sent over. So we thank you so much for contributing to that.
然后这个每一个星期都会有这个新的这个医疗设备会到来。
And we have just come back from Jordan, Elizabeth and I, and we'll share a little bit about that shortly.
然后我跟我太太聊，我们刚刚从约旦回来，一会儿我们会讲一讲那边的信息。
I have a short message I'd like to give, and then we'd like to show you pictures of how God has worked through your contributions and opportunities.
首先，我有一个短短的一个讲道文，然后我会跟大家分享一些的我们在约旦事工的图片和信息。
49 years ago, I prayed to receive Christ one night in June.
49年前，在一个6月份的晚上，我做了一个罪日祷告，接受了耶稣。
It was so personal of experience of receiving Christ that I remember praying that night.
我印象很深刻，因为我接受耶稣的那时刻，真的是一个很亲密的一个时间，一个经历。
And I remember praying and said, God, I will do anything you want me to do in my life because I know if it's from you, it's good.
然后我做祷告说：“上帝啊，你想让我做什么，我都愿意去做。”
And I truly meant that in my heart.
然后我那时候是真正的祷告，因为我觉得如果一切从神而来的，肯定是好的东西。
And then I thought about it for a minute.
然后我停了一下，又想一想。
And I said, in just as much desire and fervent prayer, I said, I'll do anything except go into ministry and especially overseas.
然后我继续祷告说，只要你不叫我做牧师或者传教士，那其他的我都好办。
Well, we know how that turned out.
当然，大家都知道后面的故事到底如何，对吗？
But 2 years after my conversion, I was asked by a group to come to Europe and to help in an international Christian conference and training.
所以呢，2年后，我被邀请到比利时的一个国际的基督教大会做培训。
And while I was there, I saw the Christians in Europe were so committed.
我在那里的时候，我发现欧洲的那边的基督徒，是真的非常尽心尽力的，跟随耶稣。
But they had so little resources compared to the United States.
这就是虽然他们的所用的资源都非常少，尤其是比起我们在美国这边的资源。
In Ghent, Belgium, a city there, the only truly evangelical church was on the opposite side of the city.
我在比利时的一个城市叫根特那边的时候，这有一个福音派的教会，它就距离的我很远， 在城市的另一端。
While in the United States, on campus of the University of Buffalo, where I was attending,
在美国 Buffalo 大学的校园，
we had Camps Crusade, InterVarsity, Navigators. Many churches having ministries there on campus.
他们有非常非常多的教会和这个学生团契。
And I remember being in Belgium and praying a second prayer.
所以我还记得我在比利时的时候，我又祷告了一次。
I have prayed in between the times, but a second one about ministry.
当然我之前也祷告了很多次，不要误会了。
And I prayed to God, I will do anything you want me to do anywhere if there is a need and that I can help meet it.
我就祷告说，神，我愿意以任何一个方式来服侍，然后你想要我去任何一个地方，我就愿意去。
I'd like to share a couple of verses that has meant so much to Elizabeth and I during, 1983 to now. So we're talking about almost 40 years of ministry.
我跟太太要做快40年的这个事工，然后我想分享一下对我们俩非常喜欢的一条经文，几个经文。
And that's Galatians 6, 9, and 10.
那就是加拉太书第6章第9节、第10节。
It says, I'll read it again, and let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up. So then, as we have opportunity, let us do good to everyone, and especially to those who are of the household of faith. I don't know if you want to read that. We've read that already, so.
大致经文能看到这个经文对吗？ OK。
Some of the books of the New Testament were written to just one person, such as Philemon and Timothy.
这个新约当中的书信，有的是写给某一个人，
But Galatians was written to the church.
但是加拉太书是写给整个教会。
And there are two commands in these two verses.
然后，这些经文当中，给我们带来了2个命令。
First one is, do not become weary or tired of doing good.
首先，这段经文告诉我们行善不要丧志。
There are needs that we see all the time in the press, in the newspapers, TV, internet.
我们看新闻、上网、看电视，会看到世界中各种各样的需要。
We see in Ukraine, Myanmar, Bangladesh, Africa.
看到很多不同的地方、不同的国家，比如乌克兰呀、非洲呀、缅甸呀，都有很多的需要。
Okay. And even in the United States and Greenville and essentially everywhere.
甚至我们这个美国还有格林维尔城市也有需要。
And often the needs that we see are not going to be accomplished with one action.
而我们看到的这些需要，往往不是那种我们能够一劳永逸的解决的那种需要。
But often they take years, even generations.
这些需要是我们持续下来的，我们可能要花几年甚至几代来才可以解决这些需要。
And we have lives to lead and we have a church.
然后我们每个人都有自己的生活，忙有自己的生活，我们还有自己的教会。
And the most frustrating thing is we're also hemmed in by time.
然后我们大家也都受到了这个时间的限制，我们生命有限，对吗？
And there's a balance there of seeking what God would have us do.
所以这个要有一个平衡，我们同时要追求神的旨意。
I heard one speaker to a conference of people who will be planting churches.
我曾经在一个关于建立教会的一个大会，请一个牧师讲道，我分享。
And he talked about people in the church are either gifted by mission, vision, or passion.
他说这个教会的人会有不同的恩赐，有的可能有传教士的恩赐，有的可能有这个 passion 热情的恩赐，然后有的可能会有 what was the second one? Mission, passion,
vision.
and vision 是怎么说？意向。Okay.
And passion. Sorry, that wasn't in my notes.
No problem. 意向、热情和传教。
And he explained how we need all three of these in a church.
牧师这样说，他说我们就每个教会都需要这三种人都需要在里面。
But he also said the people of passion are the most dangerous people to have in the church.
他说，同时非常热情的人也是最有危险的那种。
Because they want the church to do everything.
因为他们希望教会可以做各种各样的事情都可以做。
And it's balanced by people of mission, such as a pastor who keeps the church going.
所以这个要需要有牧师来做一个平衡让教会继续有秩序。
And then the second command, we'll talk more about that in a moment.
第二个命令我们一会儿我会讲一下。
So we are not to become weary. Know what the Lord is having you to do and persist.
所以大家请你不要丧志，不要灰心，要继续的好好服侍神。
With persisting in the Spirit, we will then see a harvest.
在圣灵中坚持，我们肯定会有丰收，丰收一定会来。
Okay. An example, 40 years ago, we were in Peru as missionaries for 2 years.
我举个例子，40年前，我跟太太要在秘鲁。
Okay, doesn't matter.
我们在 Peru.
And there was this one couple who were working with this tribe for over 20 years.
然后有另外一对夫妻，他们是在某一个部落给他们传教，给他们传了20年的教。
It was very, very difficult work, and they never saw any fruit.
他们施工非常非常艰难，也没有看不到什么结果。
But they continued translating the Bible and sharing the gospel.
但他们依然继续把圣经翻译出来，继续向这些人传福音。
And after 24 years, the chief of the village spoke to the missionary.
然后第24年，这个部落的部长跟传教士来找他们谈话。
And he asked the missionary, said, "Am I a sinner?"
他问传教士说：“我是不是一个罪人？”
Okay. Now, in this tribal group, murder is accepted, polygamy is accepted, everything is accepted.
在这个部落当中，很多罪都是正常的，就是他们所接受的。他们可以接受谋杀，可以接受多妻制。
And the missionary felt like saying, "Oh, brother, you are a sinner."
然后传教士他心里想说：“老弟，我告诉你，肯定是一个罪人。”
But he has a lot more grace than I do.
这个牧师比我包容一些，更有智慧，更怜悯一些。
He said, "We are all sinners."
牧师说：“你我所有人都是罪人。”
And the chief thought for a few minutes and said, "I am a sinner, and I want to make Jesus my owner."
布拉想一想，然后说：“ 我的确是一个罪人，然后我想要耶稣做我的主人。
And owner is how they translate Lord.
然后他那个部落，他们那个当地的这个土语当中，这个主人也就是主的意思。
And there was this little, if you're medical and someone is flatlined, they're dead.
就假如你在医院工作的话，你看到一个那个平线的话，你知道那个人就没了。
But there was one blip on this line.
在这个平线当中，它是有跳的意思。
That evening, they were having Bible study, and the chief came in and said, "I have an announcement."
那天晚上他们有查经会，然后部长进来说：“我有一个宣告。”
Usually, when he has an announcement, it's because they're going to have they make this alcohol to drink, and they do a whole canoe full of it.
一般来说，这个部长有宣告的时候，他们会喝酒，然后喝一大 canoe 怎么说？就一个大船。
And oh no!
就一大箱酒。
But
sorry, continue. Yeah.
Okay. But instead, he said, "I want everybody to know that today I made Jesus my owner."
但这一次，部长居然说：“我想让大家知道，今天让耶稣做我的主人。”
Now, these are the Shatanawa people in the jungle.
这是沙克纳瓦，
Shata, it doesn't matter.
这是沙克纳的一个这个民族。
And you would never, ever admit to doing anything wrong. You would lie until you died.
在他们那个文化当中，大家往往不会认罪，就把人打死，他们也不会认罪。
And then he said, "I have killed this person. I have been a bad chief. I have had sex with more people than my wives, plural." And he went on confessing his sins.
然后这个部长就开始开口认罪，说我有杀过人，我有做一个不好的部长，我有婚外情。
And he said, "That person has died today, and I am a new person."
然后再接着说，那个罪人今天已经不在了，已经死了。我这个新人有重生。
And then the chief's brother stood up and said, "Well, I'm a sinner too." And he
这个部长
confessed
的
his sins.
部长的弟弟站起来说：“哎，我也是罪人。”然后他就开口认他的罪。
And somebody else stood up and said, "Well, yeah, I am too."
然后第三个人站起来说：“哎，我也是罪人。”
Within 3 months, every adult came to Christ.
然后3个月之内，这个部落的所有的常人，都信了耶稣。
Those 24 years of persisting without becoming weary came to a harvest.
所以那对传教士，他们坚持了辛辛苦苦的坚持24年，然后最后这个丰收到来了。
In the second verse, verse 10, it talks about, let's see, I'll just read it. The second verse also defines doing good with the command of doing good when we have opportunity.
然后这个第10节提醒我们行善的时候，就是说每次有机会，我们就要去行善。
Now, I told you about the passionate people are the most dangerous because they get everybody all
我已经提醒过大家
excited about
教会
things.
的最热情的人也是最危险的人，对吗？
You know, this year we're just gonna feed the poor. We're just gonna feed the poor, you know, and they do this for the whole year.
怎么说？今天我们就要给贫困人提供食物。
This passionate person sees a new need. He says, "We're going to save the whales now."
然后这个热情的人看到新的需要，他说：“我们要去拯救那些我有怎么说？”
And it just spins the church around, and they don't know where they're going.
然后他们真的没有方向感，就是有各种各样的需要，他们要让教会去答应。
It says, when you have opportunity. When the Ukraine war started, I wanted to move to Ukraine, do medical work, do all these things.
这个乌克兰战争开始的时候，我也想要去乌克兰那边做这医疗方面的服饰。
And the workers over there were not ready for that.
在乌克兰那边的当地的这些员工说，我们还没准备好接受你。
But then the Lord has opened other doors of ministry that if I went to Ukraine, I would not do the other things.
但后来神还给我开了别的门，就说如果我去了乌克兰的话，这些别的事工我就无法去做。
But as we have opportunity and that the Lord opens up for us.
所以当我们有机会，并且神给我们开门的时候
，so and it even gives the inference of be seeking opportunities.
也这个经文是提醒我们要继续寻找行善的机会。
And the verse also talks about it's a continual opportunities and continual doing good.
也是提醒我们这个行善是一个持续的一个过程。
Seeking opportunities and doing good, that's essentially the basis of the ministry we've been having. And we even say we have a ministry of invitation.
所以寻找机会去行善，这是对我太太聊的这个我们事工的一种描述。
In the past 20 years, we've been ministering to many different countries.
在过去20年中，我们在很多不同的国家做过服事。
And we don't pick the country based upon the weather or do they have a nice beach.
但我们选哪个国家去哪个国家服事，我们不会看这个天气好，气候怎么样，他们沙滩好不好玩。
Okay, but every project, every trip that we have made have been as an invitation from either the leader of the national churches or a missionary working with the national churches.
但我们做传教，每一次做传教是有邀请的，我们是被当地的人，邀请去建立教会，或者邀请去服事。
And I'd like to just share in pictures some of the work that we have been involved in and the works that you all have been supporting.
所以我想以图片的方式来跟大家分享一下我们最近做的一些事工和服事。
Yeah. Okay. Okay, that's us. That's my 2 daughters. And we've been with Mission to the World for a total of 30 years. We took 10 years out to do seminary and advanced degrees, all in preparation of missions.
所以这是我家庭我们2位女儿，然后我们跟这个 Mission Mission to the World， 我们跟他们在这个机构当中做了30年的服事。
And we have served in Peru and also in Mexico for numerous years.
我们也在墨西哥和Peru 也做了好几年的服事。
And now we've been working under the health and medical ministries.
然后最近我们在做医疗方面的服事。
When I first came to Christ, I heard all about the doors of missions.
然后刚刚信主的时候，我听很多人说关于传教的神给传教开门的这种说法。
China was closed, Ecuador was open.
中国关门，厄瓜多尔开门。
Saudi Arabia was closed, the Congo was open.
这个 Saudi Arabia 关门，然后
open to the gospel.
是，然后 Congo 是康国 open.
But in reality, especially in the more recent years, these doors are being opened and closed is more like a revolving door.
最近几年来，这些门关的就断断续续的开和关，就像那种旋转的那种门。
The door can open quickly and close quickly.
门可以很快的开，也可以非常快的关掉。
In fact, a lot of times the doors are closed and we have to go in through a back door.
有时候正门关，我们就要通过后门走后门。
You know, if we were to say, we'd like to come and be missionaries and convert the heathen in your country, that doesn't go anymore.
有的国家你不可以大大方方的说啊，我们要去那国家做传教士，这不行。
But going in with health and medical work, I've only been turned down by one country, and that was Vietnam.
但是如果我们说我们是医疗员工，这个时候只有一个国家拒绝我们，那是越南。
So we're looking for open doors and opportunities.
我们在寻找机会，寻找开的门。
These are the countries we've worked in, and many of these countries we've been back numerous times working with them.
这是我们服侍过的国家啊，有些国家我们也去过好几次。
But out of these 27 churches, half are closed.
那这是27个国家当中，大概一半是关门的。
So being able to come in and do training of nationals, especially through the churches, even if I'm never allowed in again, there's still people there.
所以说到去那边给当地人做培训的时候，就算门是不是开着的，他们还有当地人可以做。
We have various focuses in ministry, primarily as training health workers in the countries.
然后我们的事工有不同的重点，重点之一就是去那边做医疗员工、医疗工员。
A couple of weeks ago, we just got back from Jordan.
这个星期之前，我们刚刚从约旦回来。
And we were able to train 14 people to follow people with diabetes and high blood pressure.
我们给14个人做医疗方面的培训，教他们如何跟这个患糖尿病和高血压的病人做跟上医疗服务。
Okay. 9 of them were Iraqi refugees.
其中9位是来自伊拉克的难民。
And 4 were people who are involved in setting up clinics for missionary doctors to come in.
然后其中4位是他们的事工就是为了传教士、医疗传教士建立诊所。
The whole ministry was focused around the refugees in Jordan.
我们这个项目是非常针对那些的在约旦的难民。
The 9 Iraqi refugees were part of the Marka church or church and had to leave Iraq because of religious persecution.
这个9位伊拉克难民，他们是基督徒，他们是因为被受到逼迫，就必须从伊拉克逃跑出来。
And the other people were working with the Syrian refugees.
我们还跟叙利亚难民。
So Elizabeth and I were
sorry.
Elizabeth and I were able to train these people, taking blood pressures, checking blood sugars, and doing teaching.
所以我跟太太要能给这些人培训他们如何查这个血压，查这个糖尿病的这个血糖的程度，还有如何教导别人。
And using this as a ministry of the church to the people.
如何以这种方式来做教会针对民众的一种服务、一种服侍。
Another example is in Myanmar and in Bangladesh. There are Christian churches way up in the mountains that are heavily persecuted.
还有在这个缅甸和Bangladesh 这边，他们的这个很偏僻的山村里面有受到逼迫的教会和基督徒。
In Myanmar, for years it was closed, and we could only do once a year a medical clinic.
这个缅甸关门了好几年，我们只能去那边，只能做医疗方面的服饰。
And then suddenly it opened up
它突然开放了，
to the gospel. And then very quickly, almost overnight, it shut down again.
又很快的，这第二天又很快的又关门了。
The ones that we had trained were chosen by the church from different villages.
我们那边给来自各个村庄的一些人，
And half of them were trained missionaries from the national church who was going to take the gospel along with the health and medical care.
所以我们在那边培训的人们当中一半，是我们这个传教机构，给他们这个，传福音的，这个培训，让他们去各个村庄，传福音做医疗服饰。
Same with Bangladesh.
这本来是怎么说？
Okay.
崩加了一样。
Bangladesh allowed us to go up into the mountains to minister to the Christians and the other tribal people. Every year we were able to go up.
有段时间崩加了，还允许我们去山里面的村庄那边，服侍本地人。
And it was a wonderful opportunity for the Bengali church to invite in non-Christians into the church for the medical clinic and then sharing the gospel.
那就是一个让当地教会来邀请他们当地的非基督徒来教会，收这个医疗方面的服务，一个非常美好的机会。
But suddenly, literally overnight, they said no more.
突然国家说没门进不来。
And for 7 years, we had no idea what was going on there.
整整7年的时间，我们也不知道里面有什么样的状态。
There was a medical team in a different part of Bangladesh that was permitted.
崩下了另外一个地方，还有一个这个医疗传教团队也可以进得去。
And literally one night they said, you can go back in to one village.
有一天晚上，这个国家对他们说，你可以进入，你可以去一个村。
But at sunset, you have to be out of the village.
你可以去那边一天，但是在日落的时候，你必须离开。
Says you cannot pray with the people. You cannot share Christ with them. You may not go into their homes.
你不可以为他们祷告，你不可以给他们传福音，你不可以进入他们的家。
And to make sure we kept to that rules, they sent 8 policemen to guard over us.
为了保障我们坚守这些规则，他们还派了8位警察来跟随我们。
But they didn't say anything to the national church.
就是他们national means like the local church.
Yeah, the Christians.
但他们针对这个本地的教会一句话也没说。
And said, no problem. We'll take care of all that. You just take care of the physical.
所以教会说，这是属灵的方面我们都会负责，这是医疗服务方面，你们来负责。
It was interesting. With the policemen, I said, I'm going to be your doctor. Any problems you have, I will take care of.
所以我就针对警察说，好的，我就是你们的医生，你们有任何医疗方面的问题，我就可以帮你解决。
But it was interesting. During our team, several of the people that we had trained 7 years before to do healthcare.
不过非常有趣的就是，我们这个团队当中，我们7年前给他们做这医疗方面的培训的那一批人
heard that I was in town.
他们当中有几位听过我来了他们的，我还是 in town 怎么说？就他们听过我已经在他们城市。
And they walked long distances to see me and to share with me about all the work they have done over the last 7 years.
他们听到我在孟加拉，所以他们走了很远的距离来找我，跟我分享他们7年的时间做了什么样的奇妙的事工。
And some of them said, my stethoscope wore out. I need a new one.
有的说我的 Cisco 中说，听什么器？这个听诊器要快坏了，我要新的。
Go back on script again.
No problem, no problem.
Training medical workers. There's a Christian hospital in South Sudan run by Dr. Jock.
在南苏丹有一个 Dr. Jack，他是负责一个诊所。
And actually, he's about 4 inches taller than me, so that was quite remarkable.
这位医生他比我还高，所以你可以想象，他比我高四尺。
I found out what it's like
Sorry.
to be looking up.
没有4尺那么高。
He said, I'm a doctor here. I've got a fellow who's trained some in medicine. I have no nurses.
他说我有一个助理但是我缺的就是护士。
He said, the most faithful workers I have are the ladies who clean.
我说最勤劳的帮我的员工就是这个清工，就是清工。
And he said, would you come and train them in some basic nursing procedures to help me?
这叫我说你能不能过来给他们培训一下教他们一些很基础的这个护士的技术。
In addition, can you help my assistant to learn more about medicine?
而且你能不能帮一下我助理学一些更多关于这个医学方面的？
He also said there's villages all over. Would you train health teachers? A health teacher in each of these villages.
然后我们周围有很多小村，你可以去各个村来教本地人关于这个，给他们一些医疗科普。
Other examples during epidemics, they come up pretty suddenly that you don't necessarily get to prepare in advance.
还有这些国家，他们很容易突然有疫情会出来，然后你没法准备，疫情就会开始。
On a medical team to this village in Guinea, I saw the worst malaria I had seen anywhere.
我在给你这个国家的时候，我见过他们有我见过最严重的、最糟糕的一个 malaria 疫情。
So I was able to train several people from the village and from surrounding villages just on malaria.
所以我就给他们当地人专门关于 malaria 的一个培训。
And in this village, there's this tiny little church.
然后在他们的某一个村有一个小小的一个教会
who was heavily persecuted.
这个教会受到非常严重的逼迫。
Through this training and then the clinic, the chief over the whole Tanda people came.
然后我们建立这个诊所和做这个培训的时候，整个他们整个村的一个部长过来了。
And he told the people, he said, these people have done a lot of good for us, and we should accept them and welcome them into our villages.
部长说，这些人为我们做了不少好事，我们应该欢迎他们进到我们的村当中。
2010, you remember the earthquake in Haiti?
大家都记得2010年的这个Haiti 有一个地震。
I was on the first medical team there, serving the medical needs.
然后我是在第一批这个医疗团队。
But 10 months later, they have cholera that was just spreading and killing many, many people.
又过了10个月，他们又有一个 cholera 的一个疫情，过烂一个疫情。
And the pastor there asked if I could come and train people from the church to teach people about how to prevent cholera.
然后我被邀请去那边给他们培训，让他们知道关于这个针对波兰的一个防控的科普。
And they would do this in context of the gospel.
然后我们都是为了福音的目的来做这些服事。
You certainly remember Ebola in West Africa.
德州基的这个 Ebola 的疫情。
trained people from Togo, think of these, Senegal, Guinea, Gambia, Togo, Mali, and Ivory Coast.
Is that 4 or 3 countries?
That's 5, actually.
Okay.
But anyway, a whole bunch of countries.
在5个不同的国家。
Okay. And they were people from the church. In fact, 2 seminaries sent their students to learn.
然后教会2个就圣水院还派了他们的学生去那边做服事。
They also wanted to know, how can we minister to the sick and the dying?
然后这些学生也想知道我们怎样可以针对就是就重病者还有快要病逝的人可以为他们服事。
And how not for the pastor visiting these sick people to pass it to others, how to prevent that.
然后这个牧师和传道人可以怎么样才可以很安全的就跟他们有接触，给他们传福音。
Okay. Other epidemics, leptospirosis after the flood. Probably nobody knows what that is, but it occurs after flooding. And the church asked again, said, could you train some of us to teach people in the camps how to prevent illness?
还有比如菲律宾某一些病，他们是洪水之后就会有疫情，然后我也去那边的培训人怎么样做这个疫情防控。
But there was a seminary in Gambia and in Senegal that asked, it said, we have a seminary in our countries.
这2个国家他们有圣水院。
And we are looking for, and both countries are Muslim.
这2个国家是这个伊斯兰国家。
Would you train our seminary students to be health teachers so we can go into a Muslim village and say, can I help you with health?
他们说你们能不能给我们的圣水院学生培训做这个医疗科普的老师，这样他们可以去别的村这个伊斯兰的村给他们传福音。
And once you're accepted into a village, you're open to share anything with the people.
所以在那个地方，当你被接受进入任何一个村，你被允许进村之后，你什么话都可以说，什么都可以做。
Also, just train people to teach others about health and prevention.
而且我想他们想知道，就很实用的怎么教别人。
No matter
防
what
控方面的东西。
No matter what we're teaching, we always teach them how to teach and give them materials.
无论我们给大家什么样的教导，我们都会培训他们如何去教别人。
I think this should actually say medical teams.
这是这个医疗的团队。
There's also medical teams that our organization sends out that we participate in sometimes.
我们还会帮忙有一些这个传教机构，他们会派这个短宣的医疗团队，我会跟他们。
I shared some about how it brought the church. I've shared already about how some of these teams have really opened up doors.
然后我也分享过关于这些团队是真的如何开福音的传福音的门。
And dentists are the most valuable people to come.
其实最有价值的这个医疗员工是牙医。
Imagine if you had a toothache that you've had for years.
就是你换了好几年的牙糖。
Okay. That's just some examples of opportunities that Elizabeth and I have received that we prayed about, and the Lord opened the door that we were able to go in and minister.
好，这是一些的我跟太太俩有机会去服侍的去参加的一些项目。
And as to seeking opportunities, you've also had the opportunity to help support us, to allow us to do that.
说到机会你们教会也 真的抓住了机会来支持我们的服事。
And we truly, truly thank you for that.
我们真的为此感谢大家。
Some of the prayer requests for the months coming up is pray for our students that they will continue to doing the things they have been taught.
然后我们有一些代祷事项首先希望大家可以为我们的学生祷告，希望他们可以继续用到他们学到的东西。
And to give them courage to minister to the individuals.
求神给他们勇气，去给别人传福音。
We have 2 more teams coming up. The Bangladesh, it's either going to be September or October.
我们在9月份或10月份也会有一个去孟加拉一个团队。
I've been there numerous times. There's a Christian hospital that has Bangladesh's oldest nursing school in it.
那个地方我去过好几次。他们有一个城市是他们有孟加拉的最老的护士学院。
And they also have, through the Christian hospital, they also have health workers in villages all along the lake.
是最老的这个基督徒建立的医院。
In Egypt, that'll be in November. That will be going back and training people from a Christian nursing home.
然后11月份我会去埃及，埃及那边有一个项目是培训在一个基督徒建立的一个敬老院员工。
The nursing home was the very first one in Egypt, and the church started it.
这个敬老院是埃及的建立的第一个敬老院，而且是基督徒建立的。
But they have no nurses.
但这个他们没有护士。
And they said, would you come and be training them in the skills that we're needing?
然后他们说你们能不能过来给我们培训
？In addition, Elizabeth cannot come with me on these 2 teams, so be praying that I'll have an additional teacher to come with me.
然后这2次旅途当中，我太太不能跟我一起去，所以希望大家可以祷告，让神派给我另外一个老师，一个助理跟我一起去。
I'd like to pray for you, and we're very much available to talk with anybody who'd like to come or to talk.
我想为大家祷告，然后有任何人想找我聊天，我要讨论一下，就请你尽管找我。
An interesting fact about our Jordan team that we just came back from.
我们的一个约旦团队呢
，5 of the doctors and people there were Chinese.
这个医生其中5位是华人，
including a Chinese pastor.
包括一个华人牧师。
Who ministered both to the church and to the people in the clinic.
这个牧师是整个诊所里面的人，还有 with people in the clinic and
the church they preached there.
他在教会还有诊所里都会做服事。
So let me pray for you.
我来为大家祷告。
Father, I thank you that you have drawn people to yourself here.
天上的父，感谢你有让人来到你的面前。
I pray for this church that they would always be seeking you, loving you, worshiping you.
为这个教会祷告，愿他们一直寻求你，爱你。
I pray for opportunities for them within the church and outside the church.
求你给他们机会。无论是教会里面的机会，还有教会之外的机会。
And just pray that you bless them in all that they do.
求你在一切做的事情当中，祝福他们。
Amen.
Amen.
Okay, thank you. Also, if anybody would like to receive our emails, sharing prayer requests and the trips, just give us your email and we'd be glad to include you.
如果大家想发给我这个你们的邮箱地址，就可以定期的发给你们我们这个信息的报告。